The arrival at Station Runo 9, the shuttle docked with a sharp hiss, metal clamping onto metal. Lights blinked overhead as the airlock opened. Rain stepped out onto Station Runo 9, dragging his small bag and a heavier weight on his shoulders. He had traveled across 3 star systems, taken 2 cold sleep jumps, and left behind the burnt ruins of a failed Earth contract just to find work here. The station smelled of oil, burnt circuits, and recycled air. Alien tongues echoed in every corridor. Tall reptilian traders hissed as they bargained. Smaller insectoids darted between stalls, and heavy mech guards clunked around with pulse rifles ready. Ryan wasn't special here, just another human trying to survive among the stars. He walked past neon signs flashing in alien languages until he reached the quarters assigned to low-tier human workers. His room was barely larger than a closet. 1 narrow bed, 1 steel sink, a broken light. He dropped his bag, looked at his reflection in the cracked mirror. Tired eyes, short brown hair, a thin scar on his chin from childhood. "You've made it this far," he muttered to himself. "Now survive." The next day began with dull work in a mining control room. Screens showed deep drill data. Ryan's job was to monitor pressure valves and vent timing. Boring, but safer than being underground. During his shift, he noticed something strange on the station cameras. A girl, an alien girl. She stood near the upper observation deck, watching the human sector. She had dark, violet skin that shimmered slightly under light. Long, silver-black hair, and eyes that didn't belong to any alien he'd seen. They looked familiar. Humans, thought he blinked. She was gone. That night, while returning to his room, he saw her again, standing near the lift doors, not speaking, watching him. Then, just as silently, she turned and vanished down another hallway. Ryan felt a chill crawl up his spine. Who was she? 3 nights passed like this. Every night, she appeared. No words, just that same deep gaze. She never threatened him, never smiled, but her presence stirred something deep in his mind, like a song half remembered or a face from a dream. On the 4th night, he couldn't take it anymore. When he saw her waiting outside his hallway, he didn't turn away. He walked toward her slowly, his heartbeat loud in his ears. "Who are you?" he asked, voice rough. She didn't answer at first. Her eyes scanned his face like she was confirming a theory. Then, she stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Do you recognize me, human?" Ryan's breath caught. She took a slow step forward. "I'm your childhood neighbor." The words hit like a shockwave. The hallway faded. The buzzing lights above dimmed in his mind. He stared at her, this alien beauty with violet skin and ancient eyes. "What?" he whispered. "That's not possible." She tilted her head, a gentle motion, not aggressive. "Do you remember the valley? The river behind your old house? The tree with the hollow trunk where we hid coins and leaves?" Ryan's knees weakened. Those were real memories. From Earth, from when he was 10. But the girl from those memories was human. A little barefoot girl with strange eyes who suddenly vanished one summer. Everyone had said she was imaginary. His parents had taken him to a therapist. "I called her Sajal," he said aloud. The girl's eyes softened. "You couldn't pronounce my real name back then. You called me Ryan took a step back, confusion and disbelief mixing with an old ache in his chest. "But that was years ago. You disappeared. Everyone thought I was taken," she said, "by those who wanted to protect me and study me." Rain stared at her, her voice, her eyes, that presence. It was her. Sia. No longer the small girl from Earth, but something more, something alien, but the core of her, the feeling he had when she was near, it hadn't changed. "Why now?" he asked, barely holding back the shaking in his voice. "Why here?" She stepped closer, close enough for him to see a small symbol on her collarbone, a faded mark like a child's drawing burned into her skin. "Because everything is beginning again," she said. "And you, Rain, you're not just a worker on this station. You're part of something bigger, something ancient." Rain's mind reeled, and then she pulled something from her pocket. A necklace. Broken, worn. Half of a circle. Ryan felt for his own necklace worn beneath his shirt. He pulled it out. He was the other half. They matched perfectly. His fingers trembled as the pieces locked together with a soft click. Suddenly, a hidden memory surged inside his mind, running through a forest, laughing beside a girl with strange eyes, a promise made under a summer sky. End and blinding light. Darkness. End silence. Sia watched him, her face unreadable, but her voice, when she spoke again, was soft, filled with a quiet pain. I never forgot you, Rain. He couldn't speak, he couldn't move. In that moment, the space station, the aliens, the metal walls, all of it faded. All that remained was a question. Who or what was she really? The forgotten childhood. Rain couldn't sleep that night, despite the silence in his quarters and the low hum of the station's engine beneath the walls. He kept turning the two halves of the necklace in his hand, feeling the cool metal pressing into his skin like a forgotten truth trying to surface. His mind kept drifting back to the name Saya, and the memory of that summer where sunlight had filtered through the leaves and laughter had echoed beside a river that no longer existed in his waking life. He sat up and stared at the cracked ceiling, trying to make sense of what she said. Childhood neighbor, taken ancient. And how did she still look young? How did her voice sound exactly as he remembered, even though she was no longer human? Or was she? The next morning he left his post early. He didn't report to his workstation and avoided the cameras. No one noticed. Humans were common on Runo 9, and no one cared unless you caused a problem. Rain made his way to the lower maintenance halls where he had first seen her days ago. He waited in silence with only his heartbeat and the dull clang of machinery keeping him company. After an hour, she appeared as if summoned by thought. Saya stepped from the shadowed corner, her violet skin catching the faint red glow of emergency lights. She wore a long black cloak and carried herself with a grace Rain couldn't explain. He stood up slowly and walked toward her, still clutching the necklace. You said you were my neighbor, he said carefully. I remember the river, the tree, the hollow trunk. I remember you going missing, but how are you still alive like this? What happened to you? Saya looked at him for a long moment, then gestured for him to follow her. She led him into a hidden corridor that led to an old observation bay long abandoned and sealed off. The view showed a curve of a gas giant below, swirling with green storms. The silence there felt ancient, untouched. I was taken, she said, not by force but by design. I'm not just an alien named Ryan. I'm part human, part something else. My mother was from Earth. My father was not. Rain blinked. You're saying your father was an alien? Then who were the people in the village? My mother hid on Earth during a time of war across the stars, she explained. She was pregnant and afraid. I was born there, raised there, until the ones who found her came back. They took us both, but my mother died on the journey. Ryan felt a lump rise in his throat as he stared at her. The little girl who had shared leaves and coins and stories was real. And she had lost everything. I tried to return, she whispered. I watched you grow, but I couldn't come close. The rules of my kind forbid direct contact once someone is taken. But now those rules are breaking. Something is happening. Ryan, he took a step closer, unable to hide the rush of emotion behind his eyes. Why me? Why now? Because you're connected to it, she said. Your parents were not just colonists. They were scientists, working on something ancient. Something buried in your bloodline. My kind has been watching humanity for centuries, and your family was marked. Ryan's hands tightened. My parents died in a transport fire years ago. That's what you were told, Saya replied. But the truth is more complex. They were silenced because they learned something they were not supposed to. Something involving me. And you. He felt the walls closing in. The life he knew was shattering piece by piece. Everything from his past was now a question. Even the people who raised him. She moved to the window, looking out at the storming planet below. Do you remember the day I vanished? Rain nodded. It was summer. We had made a promise to meet at the river. You never came. That's because they came early, she said. I ran to find you, but they took me before I reached the tree. I screamed your name and I thought I imagined it, he whispered. They said I made it up, that you were just a story in my head. You always believed in things others didn't, she said with a soft smile. That's why I remembered you. That's why I came back. Ryan stepped beside her, his voice quieter now. What happens now? Why are we in danger? Because the truth is no longer hidden, she answered. Others are watching now. Some fear what you carry. Others want to use Iton. What do you want? He asked. She turned to him, and for the first time in all these years he saw pain behind her. Steady eyes. I want to protect you, she said. Like you once tried to protect me. Cold warning siren echoed through the station a moment later. But it wasn't a drill. Emergency lights began to flash and the comm system buzzed with alien voices speaking too fast to understand. Saul's face turned grave. They've found you, she said. We have to leave. Now Rand didn't hesitate, he grabbed her hand and ran. Secrets, buried in the stars. Rain didn't stop running, even as the heavy station doors hissed shut behind him. His boots pounded against the metal floor, echoing across the dim hallways. Behind him he could hear the rising noise of alarms and the distant mechanical footsteps of armed patrols. Saya ran beside him, her cloak flowing behind her like a dark shadow chasing light. This way, she said, leading him down a narrow maintenance shaft. There was barely enough space for them to crawl, but it was hidden. Ryan followed her, his muscles burning with each movement, his heart hammering not from fear but from the rush of questions spinning through his head. They reached an old docking bay, unused and rusting. Sile pressed her hand against a small panel. A scanner lit up, and after a moment the hidden wall creaked open, revealing a sleek black vessel shaped like an arrow with faint glowing lines along its hull. It looked nothing like the clunky human crafts Rain had seen. What is that? He asked, breathing hard. My father's ship, she replied. He left it for me. It's been asleep until Norraine stepped into the ship's interior, and immediately felt a strange pull in his chest, like the place recognized him. The walls were smooth, the lights responding to Sile's movement. She touched the main console, and the ship came alive with a low hum. She guided him to a small chair across from her, as the ship lifted from the hangar floor. Outside, the bay doors peeled open, and they shot into the blackness of space, leaving Station Runo 9 behind. Drain stared out the window, watching the station shrink until it became just another shape against the stars. He turned to her. Now, tell me everything, he said. No more pieces. Yal nodded. Your parents were not just scientists, they were truth seekers. They were trying to prove that humans and my kind share a common ancestor. That thousands of years ago your people were seeded across different planets by a race even older than Minarain. Leaned forward. And you were part of that proof. She looked away. Not just me. I was the first successful hybrid born naturally. My existence was proof that the link still exists. But your parents didn't just discover the theory. They found evidence. A map. A code. What kind of code? He asked. A genetic sequence hidden in ancient human bloodlines, she said. It's a key to Rain. A literal key that can unlock something buried far beyond this galaxy. And that code runs through your veins. He blinked, trying to take in the weight of her words. So I'm not special because of what I did. I'm special because of what I carry. Yes, she said. That's why they want you. Some want to protect the code. Others want to use it to awaken a weapon created by the ancients. Rain shook his head. This is insane. I was just a tech operator. A nobody. You were never a nobody, she said gently. They just made you believe that. But deep down you've always felt different. Haven't you? He didn't reply. She was right. There had always been something beneath the surface. An ache, a longing, a whisper he couldn't explain. Where are we going? He asked. To a place called Valdereth, she replied. A sanctuary world orbiting a dead star. My people built a vault there. Inside it are the last remnants of the ancients. If we reach it first, we can protect the Kiand. If we don't, he asked, then everything burns, she answered. The ship's lights dimmed and a soft chime rang through the cabin. Sile's face tensed. She looked at the consolative. Locked onto us. A bounty ship, probably hired by the syndicate. Can we outrun them? Rain asked. We don't have to, she said, standing. The ship will hide us. But you need to see something first. She led him to a sealed chamber at the rear of the ship. Inside was a glowing orb suspended in air, pulsing with a deep golden light. It seemed to call to him. As he stepped closer, the light brightened. What is it? He whispered. A memory stone, she said. Left by your mother. Ryan's heart nearly stopped. My mother? Yes, she said. She recorded something before she died. Something she wanted only you to see. Ryan reached out and touched the orb. A flash of light filled the room, and suddenly he was somewhere else. Yeah, Greenfield. A gentle wind, and his mother's voice speaking softly. If you're seeing this, it means you've found her. It means the truth has reached you. You are the bridge between worlds, and your choice will shape what comes next. The memory faded. Rain staggered back. His chest felt heavy, but his heart clear. He turned to Saya. We finished this. We reach Valdereth. We stop whoever's coming. She nodded. Once outside the ship, the stars shifted. Then the hunt began. The escape through shadows. Rain stood beside Saya in the dark chamber of the ship, the golden memory still echoing in his mind. His mother's voice had stirred something deep inside him, not just memories but purpose. His whole life had felt directionless, but now the weight had meaning. The blood in his veins, the code hidden within it was not just a key, it was a responsibility. Ship's warning system pulsed red. A robotic voice filled the cabin with calm urgency. Incoming vessel. Tracking sequence activated. Threat level high. Cial didn't hesitate. She ran to the controls, fingers flying across the glowing interface. Her voice was steady, but Rain could hear the tension beneath it. They're faster than expected. Syndicate hunters. Probably sent by someone who wants the key before we reach Valdereth. Can we outrun them? Rain asked. Stepping closer. Not for long, she said. But I can mask our signature. The ship has a stealth mode, but it's unstable. We'll need to hide somewhere physical, not just cloak. Where? She asked herself, then tapped a star chart. There, Cora Drift, abandoned moon colony. We land there and go dark. It's risky, but better than being hunted in open space. The ship twisted sharply, stars bending outside the windows as they entered a warp corridor. Rain grabbed the railing as his stomach flicked. He looked over at Saya, who showed no fear, just quiet determination. They exited warp near a shattered planet whose rings were made of broken metal and ancient debris. The Cora Drift came into view, a lifeless rock spinning slowly against a crimson sun. The surface was jagged, filled with sharp valleys and black mountains. No light, no life, just silence. Cial guided the ship into a narrow crevice, where a collapsed colony station lay half buried in dust. As the ship touched down, engines faded and the lights dimmed. Power reduced to minimum, Saya said. They won't find us here if we stay quiet. Tryon followed her through a narrow exit tunnel leading to the old colony base. Inside it was cold and empty. Metal walls rusted over time, old lights flickering from emergency backups. They walked slowly through the corridors, their footsteps echoing in the silence. This place feels forgotten. Rain whispered. Cial replied, my father brought me here once when I was young. Said it was once a hope for peace between humans and aliens. But it failed, like most things do. They reached a central room filled with dust-covered terminals and broken chairs. Rain brushed aside a thick layer of grime and sat down, breathing hard. His mind was still spinning with what he had learned about his blood, his parents, and the danger. He was in. Cial sat across from him, pulling back her hood. Her face looked tired, not from running, but from years of hiding. Do you hate me? She asked. Softly. Rain looked surprised. Why would I? Because I didn't come back for you when I should have. Because I let you grow up thinking you imagined me. He shook his head. You were a kid too, and now you're risking everything to protect me. That doesn't feel like a moment. There was only silence between them, the kind that doesn't need to be. Then Saya stood and walked to a broken console. She placed her hand over a hidden panel and a soft hum filled the air. A light emerged from the wall, revealing a secret compartment. Inside was a small crystal disc glowing with pale blue light. What is that? Rain asked, walking over the original genetic sequence. She said, proof that you are the last carrier of the ancient code. If this falls into the wrong hands, everything changes. Rain picked it up and the disc pulsed in response. He felt warmth spread through his hand as if it recognized him. Suddenly a loud crack echoed through the hallway. Metal groaned. Something had landed outside of there. Here, Saya whispered. The stealth field didn't last. Jan dropped the disc into his pocket and grabbed a metal rod from a broken shelf. Ciala touched her wrist console, activating a slim energy blade. The blue light reflected in her eyes. The hallway lights flickered again and then went dark. Only the emergency red glow remained. A shape moved through the outer door, tall, armored and armed. A syndicate hunter with no face, just a blank metal mask, stood ready. Saya beside him. We can't fight them all, he said. We don't have to, she replied. Just delay them long enough to reach the underground tunnel. There's another ship hidden below. They ran through the side passage, dodging falling beams and rusted debris. More footsteps echoed behind them. More hunters. Ryan felt pain shoot through his leg as a stun bolt grazed him. He stumbled, but Saya grabbed his arm, pulled him forward, her grip strong and steady. Down the ladder, she shouted. He jumped down the dark shaft, landing hard on his feet. Saya followed and sealed the hatch above them. Below them was darkness, but a soft humming sound guided them forward. Rain saw another small craft covered in dust, but still intact. They reached it just as the hatch above exploded. Cial pushed him inside and sealed the door behind them. She fired up the old ship's engine. It responded with a cough, and then a steady roar. Rain looked at her, eyes wide. Now what now? She said. We go to Val Dareth. Before the stars choose for us. The awakening within the old ship rose from the underground hangar with a shudder, its engine coughing like a long sleeping beast disturbed from rest. Rain sat strapped in beside Saya, his breath shallow, his hands tight around the seat. Behind them, the tunnel they had escaped through collapsed in fire and dust as the syndicate hunters tried to follow but failed. The ship's outer shell sealed just in time before the Blastial pulled the controls with focus, her eyes scanning the panel as ancient systems came back to life. This vessel was different from the other one, not fast but hidden, old and sacred, a relic from the time before the wars. It was her father's backup ship, one that held more than engines and shields. It carried memories, secrets, codes. As they left the surface of Korra drift behind, Ryan felt the pressure in his chest begin to rise again. The closer they moved toward Valdereth, the more his body reacted. It started with a dull warmth under his skin, then a pulse in his temples, then his vision shifted. He could see the stars not as dots of light but as something deeper, moving patterns, currents of energy like veins across the universe. He touched his chest and felt the old necklace burning faintly through his shirt. Something was changing inside him, and he didn't know if it was awakening or breaking. Sayal noticed and turned toward him. "You feel it now, don't?" Yorain nodded, his voice low. "What's happening to me?" "The code is responding," she said. "Your DNA is more than just a key. It's an ancient script written by a species long gone. The moment you accepted your path, it started to activate. It's rewriting how you see the universe." "And what if I don't want it?" he asked. "Then you wouldn't have made it this far," she replied. "It chose you long before you had a say." He leaned back, his heart racing. The thought that something inside him was alive, something not human but built into his blood, terrified him. He had grown up thinking he was normal, average, lost in the shadows of greater people. Now he was carrying the weight of a forgotten civilization. Sue stood and walked to a small chamber in the rear of the ship. "Come with me," she said. "There's something you need to." Syrian followed her his steps, slowing his breath uneasily. The chamber was circular, lined with carvings glowing faint blue. In the center floated a sphere of light spinning slowly, pulsing like a heart. "This is the Starseed Core," she said. "It holds fragments of knowledge left by the ancients. It only responds to the true." Karyushe stepped back, allowing Rain to approach. He reached toward it, his fingers trembling. The moment his skin touched the light, the chamber changed. The walls lit up with symbols moving fast, like rivers of memory. His mind filled with voices not speaking but sharing understanding. He saw visions of worlds untouched by war, of creatures made of crystal, of ships the size of cities gliding through space like whales through the ocean. And then he saw destruction, flames tearing through galaxies, machines consuming planets, minds collapsing under power too vast to hold. He staggered back, the light fading, the visions fading with Ith gasped and fell to one knee, sweat on his forehead, his veins glowing faintly under his skin. Saya rushed forward, helping him stay upright. "You saw it," she said. "The truth of what once was. The starseed doesn't just give knowledge, it gives warning. That same power now sleeps inside you. If awakened fully, it can create or destroy. That is why the Syndicate hunts you. Not because they fear you, but because they want to use." Yorain looked into her eyes, his voice hoarse. "Then what do we do now?" "We finish this," she said. "We went to Valdereth. There the vault will judge you. If it accepts you, it will give you control. If it rejects you, then no one will ever have this power again." The ship neared its destination. A dark star appeared ahead, surrounded by ancient satellites, drifting like ghosts. Valdereth came into view, a gray world covered in temples carved into stone, glowing faintly as if breathing grain starred in silence. As the ship descended, he felt every inch of the planet call to him. Like a forgotten home, suddenly pain surged through his chest. He cried out, falling against the wall. His eyes glowed, his skin shimmered, his blood felt like it was boiling and freezing at once. Sayal rushed to him, her voice steady despite the panic. "It's the final stage. Your body is preparing for the vault. Just hold on." Light burst from his fingers, and then everything went black. He didn't dream. He floated in silence. A voice called out through the void, not in words but in memory. "Upon your eyes become what you were meant to be." Trial of blood and memory. Ryan opened his eyes slowly. The world around him blurred and shifting, as if reality itself was unsure of his presence. The chamber was massive, circular, and carved into a mountain of black stone. Pale blue light floated through the air like mist, ancient symbols glowing faintly across the walls. He was lying in the center of the vault of Valdereth, a place built before recorded time by hands no longer living. Saul stood near the edge, her eyes fixed on him with both worry and hope. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. This was his moment at his trial. Only he could face Ike, rose to his feet slowly, his body no longer in pain but heavy with something else, something ancient, something vast. His blood felt alive, humming in rhythm with the vault, itself a voice echoed in his mind, not spoken, but placed directly into his thoughts. You carry the seed of creation, and the burden of destruction do you seek, dominion or understanding? Ryan did not answer aloud, but his thoughts rang clear. I seek the truth. I seek peace. I do not want to rule. I want to protect. The symbols on the wall brightened, a soft hum filling the chamber. The vault responded to his intent. The light gathered around him, forming into shapes, shifting into memories, not just his but those of thousands who came before him. He saw the first humans taken into the stars by the ancient race. He saw the hybrid children born of union between species. He saw the wars that followed when unity failed and fear took root. And he saw the syndicate born from those ashes, a network of control bent on preventing such unity ever again. Ryan's own memory surfaced next to his mother's face, smiling under the Earth's sun, her voice telling him stories of stars and songs and forgotten legacies. He saw his father showing him the broken necklace and telling him to never lose it. Then the day they were taken, the flames, the lies, the silence, the vault grew silent. Then the chamber opened. Syndicate envoys stood outside, cloaked in silver and armed with energy blades. Behind them were members of the Galactic Council, various species, united only by fear. Rain and Sile had been tracked, not just by bounty, but by politics. One of the envoys stepped forward, speaking through a translator device. You are in violation of interstellar genetic regulation. The power inside you belongs to no one. Surrender the sequence or face judgment. Train stepped forward, light flickering in his eyes. His voice was calm but firm. The power inside me is not a weapon. It is a memory. You cannot control memory, the council murmured among themselves. Some looked at him with awe, others with suspicion. Saul raised her voice clear and strong. This human saved me when I was a child. His parents died protecting a truth your laws tried to bury. He has not threatened anyone. He has only survived. The envoy raised a weapon aimed at Ryan. The light inside you is unstable. We cannot allow it to awaken. You are a danger to every world. Ryan's hands opened as if to show he held nothing. I didn't ask for this. I didn't chase it. But I will not let you erase what I aim. A pulse burst from his body, not violent, but pure. It swept through the chamber, silencing weapons, dimming lights, forcing every being to feel not pain but memory. They saw Earth green and blue, full of life. They saw Saya running through a field barefoot and laughing. They saw a boy hiding coins in a tree, hoping his friend would come back. They saw a fire, not from war but from Lawson. They saw a choice. The envoy fired. Saul jumped between them, the bolt hitting her side. She collapsed in Zane's arms, her face pale, her breathing weak. His scream shook the chamber, light bursting from his skin and eyes. As the vault responded fully, the walls trembled, the air thickened, and a second voice spoke, not from him but through him. This child carries the bridge between what was and what can be. You tried to silence him. Now listen. The council dropped their weapons, some falling to their knees, overwhelmed by the power of the vaults. Voice Rain held tightly, his mind filled with her laughter, her courage and her sacrifice. The energy inside him swirled around her, like a shield wrapping her in warmth. He looked up, his voice shaking. You want to destroy what you don't understand. But I am not your threat. I am your mirror. The vault dimmed and the chamber stilled. Rain rose, his body glowing faintly but under control. The key had accepted him. Saul stirred in his arms, her eyes opening just enough to whisper one word. Home. The final memory. Aaron stood in the heart of the vault, his arms around Saya, her breathing faint but steady. The light that had filled the chamber, now resting inside him, quiet and complete. The council stood in silence around him, eyes wide, no longer filled with fear, but with something older and deeper, understanding. The syndicate envoy had dropped his weapon, and the mask on his face cracked, revealing tired eyes, a face worn from years of control and commands. He stepped back like a man waking from a long sleep, unsure of what he had been. Doingren carried Sire to the center platform where the starseed core floated once again, its light softer now, its message delivered. He laid her down gently, his hand on her chest, feeling her pulse, feeling her warmth, knowing she would live. The chamber doors opened, revealing the rising light of Valdereth's sky. The dead star above, now pulsing faintly, as if answering to the awakening that had just taken place. For centuries the planet had slept holding the last truth of the ancients. Now that truth had been passed on, not as a weapon but as a story. Rain turned to face the council. He no longer felt small. He no longer felt like a human lost in space. He felt whole. The voice of the vault still echoed inside him, no longer speaking words, but emotions. History, memories of laughter, pain, hope, and choices. You came to stop me, he said, but what you witnessed here was not a threat, it was a beginning. You feared the code because you thought it was a tool of war, but it is a reminder. A message from the past to never forget who we are and what we can be. Of the counselors stepped forward as a tall being with silver skin and glowing eyes. You carry something sacred. What will you do with it? Train looked at Saya, then back at them. I will not use it to rule. I will not use it to destroy it. I will carry it forward and protect it, so no one will ever forget. A Guinea ripple moved through the gathered aliens, heads bowed, weapons lowered, the decision made not by force but by truth. Xiao stirred, sitting up slowly, her eyes meeting his, small smile breaking across her lips. You did it, she said softly. No, he replied, we did. The vault began to close, the light dimming, the core folding back into the earth, its duty complete. Ryan and Saya left the chamber side by side, the path ahead no longer uncertain but full of stars, waiting to be known. They boarded the ship in silence, the wind across the planet soft like breath, the engines humming with ancient power. As they rose from Valderith, the view behind them showed a world no longer forgotten but remembered. Saul looked at him, her voice calm. Where will we go now? Wherever the stories need us, he answered. She laughed lightly, leaning her head on his shoulder. You never really changed, did you, Aunt? You never really left, he said, looking into her violet eyes. Not when you remembered me, she replied. The stars opened before them, paths unknown but waiting. Rain set the course, not as a worker, not as a weapon, but as a guardian of memory, a keeper of peace. And as the ship disappeared into the endless sky, the vault below closed once more, whispering to the universe that something ancient had awakened and chosen to hope. The end.